guys, Ethan with Trackstar again. Got another episode of Tuned for you. Today we're going to go over a few different things, not just tuning stuff, but a few other things that are going on in the shop, like mechanical preparedness for tuning, which ends up being a large percentage of the job. Unfortunately, not the most fun, not the most glamorous a lot of times, but that's part of the work. So we have a few different cars here in the shop today that are having mechanical things done. We've got these GTR in for these custom valve cover seals. So I'm going to be testing those out in there today. On the list, we have a Jeep SRT. I think it's a 2012 model with a 6.4 liter. It just got long tubes on there. They're hanging on there right now. And then it already had some aftermarket exhaust, but now we need to integrate those together. I had to cut some nasty welds there, so now I got to figure out how I'm going to mate those up.
And then on to the outside.
Out here we have two more Chevys. This is Codys SS, who runs in our TXSL Lone Star Drift series with his Mustang. So he obviously does not discriminate. He's got the Chevy and the Ford.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. We do not discriminate against any kind of horsepower, period.
Yeah. We just like horsepower.
Yep. So Cody's car just got long tubes, valve springs, push rods, rocker arm bearing upgrade, intake, probably leaving some stuff out, but all the bolt-ons excluding intake manifold and throttle body. So we'll have this on the dyno. Maybe that'll be later today. Probably not, but
yeah,
definitely we'll be having a feature on this car. And another car that we'll have a feature on is this Corvette right here. This one has a nice.
Y'all don't hate on these rims. He bought it with the rims.
Oh yeah, there's some welds that go on.
Yeah, there's some welds that go on this, so don't hate on the rims.
But it's got a very built motor that we've had to do some diagnosing and fixing on. But now we've got a F1R supercharger to go on there, and gonna get the ID 1050s in and get the tune dialed in all motor first. Is the way I'd like to go about things when possible. The GTR is here, kind of for a tuning reason. You know, we need to be able to crank the boost up to 40 pounds of boost, and unfortunately there's a really odd scenario with these valve covers where you cannot buy the spark plug grommet seals from Nissan, the pieces that go here. So the only way to get the new seal is to buy a new valve cover. Well, this valve cover, as many GTR owners, this one has been extensively modified. The baffle has been removed to gut the PCV valve, and then it's been all safety wired, and of course they've been powder coated. So getting a new valve cover is not a good solution in this case. So he's having a problem with the factory. This is not the factory seal. So what people have done is use these Subaru WRX cam seal or crank seal that happens to be really close to the right diameter, but actually still needs some love on a belt sander to fit in there. This is just entirely inappropriate to me. Like, you got this fully built, 1,000+ horsepower motor, and we're going to use a Subaru WRX crank steel? No, like,
that's not even designed to.
Not even designed, and it doesn't hold pressure in the way that it needs to.
Yeah.
So I, with the help of a friend, designed, and we've prototyped these rings with seals to replace the factory valve cover spark plug grommet. So we've got this nice piece of CNC'd aluminum, and we've got a double seal on the outer and a double seal on the inner. So these snap in place. These are those three installed right there. Those snap in place there, and then I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So that slides over like that, and you see how it stops right there at the ridge. And if I push just a little bit, boom, there it goes. So they sit right like that when installed. Hopefully this is version 1. Hopefully there will not be a version 2. It seems to fit really nicely. So that was definitely a scary moment when you have the new piece in hand. You're like, let me see. I know my measurements were good, but
yeah,
and yeah, it fit nice and tight. So looking forward to testing and hopefully finding out that this has solved the leaking into the spark plug problem, which this car has been plagued by. I don't know if you got video of that yet, or if you can get down in there that you cannot see that spark plug right now. And you can, I think you can only see about half of that one if you can. But those spark plugs are submerged right now. Special delivery part just dropped off. I think that is for the Z that Adam has been driving, sitting right here. Looks like Patrick's in the middle of a clutch job on that one right now.
Yep.
So that's for that. There it sits.
There it sits.
Hopefully it will be out there. So to get back at these rings that I had made, the first thing I got to do is get all the oil that's down in there out. So I'm gonna have to get some rags right now and suck that oil out. There's not a great way to do that. Yeah, that one you can't even see at all. That one you can barely see just the tip of the plug there.
Just the tip of the plug there.
All right. So we got the Mighty back here to get. Oh yeah, that's definitely doing the trick with that little tapered tip. Just the hose wasn't it, but with the little tapered tip on there, it seems to be quite helpful. Cool.
How not to do a leak down test.
See what it looks like down there, Drew.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good?
Yeah, I can see what do you call it? The hex now.
Okay, well that's most of the way down. All right, moving on. Take some of that oil that was already down in there and put it back in there. I hit this with brake cleaner a minute ago, so I want to just make sure that there's not a totally dry entry
surface
there.
is still on.
Alright, so there it's got resistance. And down in there.
Thick gray.
Yeah. And then I'll lay these back over. That guy is ready. Sweet! I need to hit that.
Do you have to rebuy valve cover seals when you do this, or no?
No, I mean, these ones we just changed last time. So yes, I would say, and I'm probably gonna put together a kit that'll have the outer valve cover seal with my seals. And so that'll be, I mean, anytime you do anything under there, I mean, if the valve covers have been off more than one time, like, you should change the seals.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cars that'll come up and they'll think that there's some like misfire, running problem, whatever, and it will just be, and they'll think it's a coil pack, an injector, and it's maybe just the spark plug seals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, so the seals are in. We're putting the valve covers back on.
All right, going on.
Fit.
Yep, she's on there. You can see the aluminum, and you can see that the seal moved past the tube. So we look like we are in good shape.
All right.
Tie, need a zip tie, and we are done. We are just a bolt away from pulling these LS3 injectors out. Assuming that your car's power goals are in line with these. On a 4-cylinder, these will support about just shy of 600 horsepower, and on a 8-cylinder, I mean, they'll do all the power, 1,000 plus. But once you get into larger injector sizes than about 1,000 cc, you really start having much poorer behavior, much less linear behavior in the injectors. And so that makes my job a little bit harder. If you have injectors that are non-linear flow, and in some cases it's just no good, and you want to change to something that's. Just did that on RV25 car that we had up here that had some old school Bosch EV1 injectors that were like, you know, from a Ford Crown Victoria was their original intention for a natural gas setup. So yeah, it's a big injector. It's good with natural gas. I honestly don't even know if that means it's good with the 85, but those injectors did not need to be in that car. We changed out to some ID 1050s, and immediately I was very quickly able to progress to a running driving car, where those other injectors in there, man, he had just been having problem after problem. All right. I don't know if that is sitting down low enough, man. That is not sitting low enough. Maybe it is. Maybe it's okay, but I need to change these O-rings. I think that's an important note right there. I mean, these injector adapters came with these O-rings, and when I set it in there, if I wasn't paying close attention, I easily could have thought that it was fitting. I mean, they set down in there and it was somewhat tight, but that wasn't going to seal up. So anytime you got a bunch of aftermarket parts, you got aftermarket manifold, aftermarket injectors, and then we got to have the adapters. The more aftermarket parts involved, the more careful you have to be. I've seen the same kind of thing on, there was a GTR that came up to me with brand new injectors right out of the box, and I guess the people that had prepared the injectors and reflowed them had, they take off part of the back end and they put in a couple O-rings to stack it and get it the right height, and they had left out an O-ring on 2 of them, and so we're going to put it in, and I'm like, something's not right, and that could have been a big problem if, you know, the owner had installed it or something along those lines, because
So this is the last component, then you're going to tune it on all motor, get it running right now.
Yep. And because it already has, somebody else built the motor and somebody else did the tune that's on it. There's definitely a lot to be desired on the tune that was on it. Tons of transmission stuff that I already changed. And now, yeah, so I want to change the injectors and just try to get it running as good as I can without any boost first. And I try to do that on any car that I can, like at least, or if it is a boosted car, try to run it on the least amount of boost you can and make sure that you got perfection on straight gate level before you, especially on something like this where even without boost, it's still a pretty high power level, probably, you know, 500 plus without boost. So this is going to be a dangerous vehicle when we're done for sure.
We like dangerous.
Yeah,
Danger's our middle name.
I desire enough power to scare me. Man, I always know that it's a job well done if I come back from like doing a dialogue and I'm like, oh, I went 50, 60% throttle.
And it was still scary.
That was the borderline for like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
Call me a scared little BI if you want, but.
Well, we experienced that in the S2000.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys, so we got the SS here. So you want to explain to everybody one more time what we're doing?
Yeah, well, we're on the tail end of it right here. Man, I've had this for a little bit too long. We had a couple complications, as most cars do present, but we did long tube exhaust manifolds. We did valve springs, which included doing valve stem seals, because the valve spring seats are different for the dual valve springs. We did a camshaft from Shane Hins. It's a custom grind. It's like a pretty extreme, 650 or something like that lift. It's way up there in the lift. So it's pretty much all the bolt-ons except for intake manifold and throttle body. Not really sure. I know I've had an auto stock one of these that did 390 after tuning, but that was dead stock. So definitely expecting, I don't know if it's reasonable to think 100 more horsepower over factory. That's what we're hoping for.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm sure that's what Cody's hoping for.
Offset one, straight one. Goes offset, straight, alternating back, it looks like.
Yeah. Is this something you always do?
What do you mean?
Like you always do it this way? You don't put them all on the rail first?
I have put them all on there before. This doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
There's some things I do that I'm like, I do different for a certain reason. This, no. There is no reason. Excuse me, what? There we go. Well, we started with today with 3 cars in mind to get the GTR running, get the new the prototype parts in there, and test that. We still didn't quite run that car yet. Been kind of waiting on stuff to dry there. We'll run that in a minute. We did get the injectors swapped in the Vette, and I got the tune flashed on that. That is definitely running and driving again. I pulled that out to the front. We got the SS running. Still got a few other parts to add. Got like a catch can and a few other little items to finish it up, but it is definitely running and close to ready for tuning now. So a rare day in that all the things I had set as goals happened. So I like it. Good day. I wish they could all be like that. If I could get a few of these days in a row, then yeah. But that's it for this episode. Check us out next week for another episode of Tune.